The TV fans are taking over. This is Across the Airwaves. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Across the Airwaves, the podcast dedicated to giving weekly TV show episode reviews, along with news and opinions on the television industry. Once again, I'm your host, Dan Schmidt, and with me is my co-host and MI6 handler.
Hey, everybody, it's Nico. This week's show, now that Fox's World Series hiatus is over, we are back to a full schedule of reviewing the new episodes of Chuck, Castle, Bones, Fringe, Smallville, and Supernatural.
And before we get things started, I would like to give some quick TV news on both Castle and Bones. Recently, it has been announced that Laura Prepon from That 70s Show has been cast as the actress hired to play Nikki Heat in the big screen adaptation of Castle's novel. And Giles Martini, I think that's his name, from the show Brothers and Sisters, will guest star on Castle as Tobias Strange, a world-famous musician who becomes a suspect in a murder. And the interesting thing about Tobias Strange, the last name Strange is the same as a magician within Marvel Comics named Doctor Strange. So it'll be interesting if Castle makes a reference between the two characters.
Also on the Bones front, Arnold Vosloo, known famously as the Mummy, has been cast in the role of this season's Big Bad, Jacob Ripken Brodasky, a sniper who will be accused of killing a recurring character. He'll appear in several episodes starting in early 2011, giving us a great plot line to look forward to. On the other side, a man sets out to free his twin brother from an amber quarantine zone. Meanwhile, Walternet begins the experiments to duplicate Olivia's ability to transition safely between worlds.
This week's episode of Fringe delved into an aspect of this show's alternate reality known as ambering, which is the process that the Fringe division on the other side uses to put temporal anomalies into suspended animation. And many times when they perform this process, innocent people are caught within the quarantine zone and are frozen alive. Moving on to this episode's story, a few weeks ago I complained about this season's concept of taking place in a different reality every other week. But like the episode with the mentally challenged man who became a genius, the alternate reality once again grew on me through this show's uncanny ability to create memorable one-off characters. As for this week's memorable one-off characters, they were a pair of twins named Joshua and Matthew, played by the Ashmore brothers from Smallville and X-Men movie fame. And as this episode starts out, Matthew is shown rescuing his brother Joshua, a bank robber who got himself hammered by using a device that allowed him to walk through walls. By the way, if a device that allows someone to walk through walls sounds familiar to you avid Fringe watchers, it was also invented by a villain on our side in the Season 1 episode Safe. Focusing back on this episode, Olivia's investigation of the twins shows us that this story is not about a man protecting his brother who happens to be a criminal, which we have seen time and time again on television. Instead, this episode was about a man who is seeking redemption for his crimes, as it is revealed that Matthew was actually the one who got himself hammered in an attempt to get Joshua to turn away from his life of crime. Eventually, the Fringe team sees through the brothers' ruse, which forces Joshua to make the heartbreaking sacrifice of getting himself ambered to give back the life he stole from Matthew. However, the Fringe team, seeing through the brothers' deception, did not come from Olivia's detective skills, which thankfully gave us less of her bad acting. But actually, she got a tip from a hallucination of Peter. And on that note, like with the previous episode that took place in the alternate reality, these scenes with Peter once again really stood out because they gave us this longing for the show to return to our reality. And it gave more substance, actually, to Anna Torv's performance in this episode. Also in this episode, we got a scene in a restaurant that began to almost make me sympathize with Walternet, as he tells Colonel Boyles about his guilt over having to encase innocent people in amber to keep the temporal anomalies under control. Although my tune towards Walternet changed when he revealed that the people encased inside the amber were actually alive and fully aware. And in my opinion, these feelings came from my belief that Dr. Bishop would never condemn a human being to such an awful fate, because unlike Walternet, he believes that nature does recognize good and evil, and I think there could potentially be a future plotline where Dr. Bishop may try to actually free the innocent people encased within the amber. And I don't know if that'll happen this season, but I could see it happening next season. And as much as I enjoyed these scenes with Peter, and the entire episode in general, I was kind of disappointed that we did not get to see more on Charlie trying to figure out if Olivia and Bolivia switched places. But the writers made up for it by Bolivia's mother being suspicious. Finally, in the last scene of the episode, Olivia agrees to take part in a series of tests to help her figure out how to use her ability to travel between worlds. Eventually, one of the tests ends up becoming a success, as Olivia manages to travel back to our reality. However, just as she discovers what she has done, she is yanked back to the alternate reality, where she decides to keep her success secret from Walternet. So with that, we're going to move on and close up the episode real quick. And Nico, do you want to explain what's going to happen next week?
Since there was no Chuck last night, next week's episode is only going to contain reviews for Castle, Bones, Fringe, Smallville, and Supernatural. By the way, make sure you keep an eye out for our mini episode, which is going to review 2 new shows that premiered this season: CBS's Hawaii Five-0 and ABC's No Ordinary Family.
And also, we'd like to invite all of you to join us for our live show, which will be airing on November 19th, following the Smallville episode, Patriot. So those of you who have joined us before for our previous live show, hopefully you saved the website address that you went to access our Ustream on the night of that presentation. If you have not, visit our website at www.acrosstheairways.com. There we have a promo for the episode made by our very own Michael J. Petty, of course. And there will be the link to be able to access our live show on November 19th. And the show, most likely, depending on if we have technical difficulties or not, will start around 8:15 Central, 9:15 Eastern. And hopefully Nico will be able to join us. I know Michael's going to join us for sure. And we're going to have a great time and discuss Patriot after it airs, because we're in for one heck of a Justice League showdown. And it's going to be great to cover all the ins and outs about that. And also, Michael and I will throw in our knowledge about comic books and the DC Universe. And that will also be a special part of the live show. So be ready to ask us any questions you want regarding superheroes in Smallville. And also, if you have any questions about the TV shows we're discussing, superheroes, or whatever, you can contact us in a variety of ways. First off, you can visit our website at www.acrosstheairwaves.com. There you can find all of our podcast episodes. And you can also access our Twitter page, which is Across Airways. There's no "the" in there, it's just Across Airways. You can also join our Facebook page and friend us on there. Then hit that up. And you can email us at acrosstheairways@gmail.com. Also on our webpage, you can access our YouTube channel, which has promos for upcoming Across the Airways events, such as our live show. Also, we have clips and panels from the many TV shows that we cover. So with that, once again, I'm Dan Schmidt.
And I'm Nico Reifsteck.
And until next week, we'll catch you on the airwaves.